Welcome, babies, beetles, and Bible thumping soldiers, to episode 512 of an Unearthly podcast, streaming live on the 18th of May 2024, and featuring for the first time ever a triple feature of stories. Because we will be covering Space
2024.
Babies and The Devil's Chord, which were both written by Russell T Davies, as well as Boom, which was written by Stephen Moffat. All three starring Ncuti Gatwa as the Doctor and Millie Gibson as Ruby Sunday. I am your temp host for the week, though I am not from Chiswick, Alex Fireheart. Bill Sylvia, the one in black, is not here with us, but we do have his thoughts on all three episodes. Also joining me is not having to act as technical director this week, Mad Matt Winchell.
I push carts all day.
And acting technical director for the week, Erin Romeo Moon Burke.
Hello. Oh my god, I had to rush.
Yeah.
Fastest setup
Feel my
ever.
pain. Feel my pain. I just got here. Oh God, I'm trying to get everything ready.
Like, oh god, I didn't even have time to write the alt text for our stuff, so that's fine. That's fine.
Well, like Muppets.
Yeah, as far as opening banter goes, I'll leave it up to you two because I've got to do a lot of talking this stream, so I'm going to save my voice as much as I
Okay.
can.
I'm just going to go ahead and post our stuff to the alternate wait. Oh, hang on.
What are you doing?
X? The X is being weird. I don't know what is X doing. Add an existing account, whatever. X, you're being stupid. Go home, Elon Musk. You're drunk. Again. Stop laying people off for once. Alright. Anyway, for some reason I can't get into the Unearthly podcast Twitter X account, so we'll just leave it at that. Mm-hmm. Okay, after you, Alex.
They're waiting for us to do our weekly banter.
Oh, our weekly banter? Oh, jeez.
Yes. Then you just said.
I mean, yeah. Like, I mean, if either of you don't have anything particularly worth mentioning, we might skip it with how much we've got. But that's up to you guys.
Yeah, I mean,
Alex is trying to save their voice.
Okay. Well, I can tell you that today was a very busy day. I spent 10 hours with my boyfriend, and it flew by like nothing. So yeah, I went out to a new Mexican restaurant, Tapatíos de Mexicana. Went and I bought a new vacuum, a Dyson vacuum, and that which was actually pretty awesome. That was on sale at Costco. What else? Went swimming, went to the hot tub. Also have been carving my way through multiple series. Not just Doctor Who, but Star Wars, Star Trek. I need to get caught up on anime, so I just feel like I have all this stuff to do, and I'm still trying to declutter the apartment and get everything organized to send the cyberpunk books down to Lupus in Texas and see who wants like comics. Like Randy had a bunch of old manga and stuff like Bao, which was a manga by the guy who created JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Mai the Psychic Girl, Darkstalkers, yeah, bunch of stuff that I'm going through and trying to find homes for. So yeah, it's been busy day for me. How about you, Matt?
Well, if it's not one issue, it's another. So I finally got the new car. My first day out with it, I passed by a truck that apparently had like gravel or something in it. It was going faster than it should have been and was scattering it like raindrops.
You didn't crash another car, did you?
Nope, but I got but my new car, which already had a like a fine crack at the bottom of the windscreen, now has a circular crack right above it.
Oh, lovely.
Ugh.
Yeah, first day on the road. That's just freaking dandy.
Mm-hmm.
So that happened. Yesterday was a hell day at work because for about at least a half hour or more, I was the only person running registers by myself, bagging everything myself.
Oh my god.
On the plus side, one of the bosses, not only once they found out what was going on and gave me a break as soon as things cooled off a bit, also took me aside to say, "Oh yeah, by the way, we got a lot of good feedback about you during all of this, so kudos on you. Yeah, but yeah, take a break. You deserve it."
Awesome. Are they going to hire more people to help you since you're so appreciated there?
Well, then there's today. Get to work. So, by the way, Matt. Oh no, now what? We may
Everybody
have to have you go outside and push carts all day today.
in the 80
Oh?
plus degree heat.
Yeah, turns out that all of the high school kids called in. Turns out prom was this week.
Uh,
Methinks these kids don't understand what programming ahead is about.
mm-hmm.
Some heads may roll for that.
Honestly, a lot of the high school kids did that at work too. They ditched work to
Well,
go to
I
prom.
believe, not going to name names or anything because I'm not even sure for sure on it, but I believe there's a couple of them that were already kind of on the chopping block if they kept that kind of stuff up. And now that a whole bunch of them did it and left one person to push carts for 8 hours today, I'm pretty sure there's a few heads that are going to roll. So yeah, that's a thing. Oh yeah, and that and my head boss saw everything that's been going on today and went, "Oh yeah, I made sure to give you like we got this little bonus thing that higher ups, including the CEO, can give us like little extra gifts and stuff to like not even just one store, but the entire stores, etc., the entire company." Yeah, the boss of my part of my department literally went, "Yeah, I gave you just 500 more points. Go ahead."
Hmm.
I'm not sure how that translates. It's either $500 or I'm more leaning towards it's $50. Still,
Yeah.
that's an extra 50 in the pocket.
Yeah, I highly doubt it would be 500. It's more like 50.
Yeah, I don't think it would be 500 either. I wish, but for sure 50.
Of course,
So yeah.
it depends on how big the grocery store is, but like, yeah.
Well, Meyer is multiple states at this point, like including parts along the west, not the west, the east coast. It's trying to reach west. It's been having a difficult time of that. But particularly the Great Lakes, it's been spreading. But anyways, yeah, push carts all day today. But
Wow.
I got a couple of breathers, including my brakes. Basically, I could take breaks whenever I want to, but they would radio in to make sure I took them, and then they would hydrate and fan off. And that was my last couple days. Other than that, I need to get at some stuff before we start moving, like soon. TM. Because technically, beginning of next month, we have the apartment, and we have like at least a couple weeks to try and get all the stuff moved, and figure out if we need to get like an extra storage place temporarily before we go to the bigger place. So long story short, the place we got, they also are aware that they're about to have a much bigger place available. That's only going to cost like an extra 100 a month.
Oh, that'll be nice.
But would fit everything that we have much more easily. In fact, but the person who's going to be leaving is like, I'm leaving soon, sometime, not sure when.
Are they doing? They must be doing month to month then.
Or something, I don't know. But yeah, long story short, we're basically on the waiting list to me to get in there as soon as they're out. And in the meantime, we're like, okay, how do we squeeze everything? And apparently I might be involved in picking up lamps on Monday because there's no ceiling lights,
Hmm.
and Mother wants more light.
Yeah.
Trying to think if there's anything else important. That basically covers a lot of what's been going on, at least recently. For the most part, yeah, that about covers it.
Okay. Ooh.
Just hectic and trying to get things moving.
Right.
with that, with that said,
Okay, we'll go right.
We have audio cues.
so yep. So tonight we will be doing news and birthdays, no geek talk, and even news I'll probably be rushing through. We probably won't stick on each story that long, if at all, unless there's like fairly notable things worth mentioning. But in any case, starting with birthdays, we have on the 5th of May, Richard E. Grant, who was one of the doctors in Curse of Fatal Death and the non-canonical Ninth Doctor in Scream of the Shalka, as well as Dr. Simeon and the Great Intelligence in Series 7, turned 67. Also on the 5th, we had Delia Derbyshire, the original theme music arranger, who would have been 87 but died in 2005 at the age of 86. On the 6th of May, we have Susan Brown, who played Bridget Spears in Torchwood Series 3, turns 78. On the 7th, we have Valentine Dial, who played a Black Guardian in seasons 17 and 20. Would have been 116, but died in 1985 at 77. On the 8th of May, we have Douglas Camfield, who was the director of 9 serials between 64 and 76. Would have been 93, but died in 84 at the age of 52. On the 9th of May, we have John Arnott, who played Cardinal Barusa in The Invasion of Time. Would have been 107, but died in 99 at the age of 82. Also on the 9th, we have Mary Warden, who played Sarah Kingdom, the aged version, seemingly, in the Daleks' Master Plan. Would have been 133, but died in 1978 at the age of 87. On the 12th of May, we have William Hughes, who was the Master from 2007 to 2010, and Boy in Torchwood Sleeper. Would have been 26, but died in 2018 at the age of 20. So for those guessing, I'm assuming that would have mean he was the kid version of the Master in those years.
I had an image of him, but.
Also on the 12th, we have Catherine Tate, who was Donna Noble from 2006 to 2010, and again in the 2023 specials, turned 56. On the 13th, we have Frances Barber, who played Madame Kavarian through Series 6, turned 66. And also on the 13th, we have Zoe Wanamaker, who played Cassandra O'Brien in Series 1 and 2, turned 75. On the 14th, finally, we have 3 birthdays here. We have Indira Varma, who played Susie Costello in Torchwood Series 1, turned 51. We also have Isan Churchman, who played Alpha Centauri in 72, 74, and 2017. And the Spiders in Planet of the Spiders turned 99. We're getting close. Let's see if she can make it. And finally, we have Tristram Carey, who did the incidental music for 7 serials from 64 to 72, and Ballad of the Last Chance Saloon. We won't hold that against them. In 99, but died in 2008 at 82. So happy birthday to all of those folks. And unfortunately, we do have a lost story. This is from a few weeks ago, but an Unearthly podcast is sad to report the death of Ian Gelder, who was the voice of the remnants in the Ghost Monument, which, if I recall right, was effectively those flying rags, and Zelen in Can You Hear Me? So the supernatural, like godlike villain who could detach his fingers. He was also Mr. Decker in Torchwood Children of Earth. He has died at the age of 74 due to complications from bile duct cancer. People may also know him as Kevin Lannister in Game of Thrones. He's survived by his partner and fellow actor Ben Daniels. So, rest in peace, Ian, and condolences to his partner and family. That one kind of hit harder than I thought it would for me. I don't know why.
Well, we've seen a lot of their
He did
stuff
have
lately, to be
very,
fair.
and he did have very memorable roles. Like whether you
Mm.
like the episodes that he was in or not, he was pretty memorable in them. So moving on from that to the news, we have a ratings update. Within the first 24 hours of release on BBC One and BBC iPlayer, 2.6 million viewers watched Space Babies, and 2.4 million viewers watched The Devil's Cord. So, streaming numbers is its own weird thing, and whatever. But still
Well,
a decent amount of streaming.
the big thing for Doctor Who is that apparently with this new series, it's the first time they gone to streaming first.
I think
I
the
don't recall
idea
when, but I
is,
do believe that they released on BBC, but much later.
yeah, it's effectively it airs on its normal time on BBC TV, but rather than after that going on to streaming on either both iPlayer and like when it used to in Australia and that. I think the idea is to match that Disney Plus releases at midnight UK time. They release it on iPlayer midnight UK time, just so people from the UK aren't entirely screwed over by having to wait for it to air on TV first and then get it on iPlayer.
The results of being attached to an American company for this production.
Right. In any case, moving on from that, we have in future episode news, we have season 1 / series 14 / season 40, however you really want to refer to it as. We have episode teasers. Total TV Guide has released quotes to tease upcoming season 1 episodes, along with Radio Times teasers. Skipping the episodes we've already watched, we have the following: 73 Yards. The teaser is Welsh folk horror. The TARDIS lands on the cliff tops of West Wales. The Total TV Guide quote being Enid witchcraft is a very strong word. Dot and Bubble. The RT teaser. Lindy catches something in the corner of her eye. Total TV Guide quote, Ruby Sunday saying, Lindy, I want you to be very careful and look to your right. Rogue, the RT teaser, it's 1813 and there's a grand ball and the Duchess of Pemberton's Manor. At the Duchess of Pemberton's Manor. TTG quote, the Doctor, psychic earrings, choreography beamed into your motor system, tap twice to choose your movements, instant strictly. And finally, The Legend of Ruby Sunday, the RT teaser, the TARDIS is on a mission. A secret has been waiting since the era of the Third Doctor. Interesting. And the TTG quote, presumably the Doctor, Time Lords can regenerate their faces like a disguise. We look different, but we're still the same. Oh, my bad. There's also Empire of Death is the final one. For some reason, my brain just did not see that. RT teaser, the world reels from the most terrifying revelations and everything is lost. And the TTG quote, it's your life, Doctor. It's telling the story of your life. Moving on from that, we have a cast update. The cast list has been released for episode 4, 73 Yards. Cast includes characters such as Enid Meadows, Roger App William, Larry Palin, The Woman, Joshua Steele, E4 Jones, Thin Lucy, and Eddie Jones. A particular interest in the character is particular interest is the character Hiker, played by recurring actor Susan Twist. Susan Twist has appeared in the following roles so far: Mrs. Merridew in the 1666 portion of Wild Blue Yonder, the hippie who asked Ruby's band to play the 16th century Christmas carol Gaudette in the church on Ruby Road, comms officer Gina Scalzi in Space Babies, the tea lady at EMI Studios in Devil's Court, who does give a name, but I do forget what it was. The ambulance in Boom, and Susan Triad of Triad Technology in a trailer featuring The Legend of Ruby Sunday and Empire of Death. We can assume that Susan Twist will continue to appear. I will just very quickly say, Russell, we did not need this many mystery boxes in one fucking
Jesus
season.
Christ, yes, this was unnecessary. This feels like a blink and miss it thing that just keeps going, and it's like, is there really any point to this?
I mean,
unless they all tie back into Mrs. Flood or something.
Well, that's the interesting thing is I almost thought for a sec, is it? But it's a different actress, so
Yeah, Anita Dobson. She seems to be associated with a lot of sciencey stuff. Maybe she's the Ronnie.
Possible.
I mean, I'd be fine with it if it was, because it would be nice to have her back.
Finally have her back, yeah.
Or perhaps we're getting both. Or perhaps we're getting both Romana and the Ronnie back. Blood Twist being one and Dobson being the other.
That could be interesting.
A lot of time.
I mean, God knows, I've seen there's like a lot of speculation.
There's a lot of wibbly wobbly.
Yeah, like I think I've even seen people assume Mrs. Flood might just be a very old Ruby going under a different name, but you know, we'll see where it goes. In any case, moving on from that, we have news on the 2024 Christmas special. While we've long had news based on resume leaks that Stephen Moffat was the writer of the 2024 Christmas special, he has finally confirmed in an interview that it is his 50th script for the series and is named Joy to the World. That count includes only full-length episodes, so no specials such as Time Crash, Curse of Fatal Death, and I'm assuming the webisodes that aired before Series 7, and includes co-written episodes. So moving on from that, which, to be honest, given that RTD is writing 6 out of the 8 episodes that we're getting, I'm fine with Moffat being given the Christmas special.
Yeah. I mean, they should be consistent then, at least, right?
Although it wasn't mentioned in that blurb, but this does mean
knocking on all the wood for you.
That Moffat will be the first writer who is not the current showrunner in Modern Who to write a special. Because prior to that, it was always the showrunner. Like RTD wrote all of his specials, Chibnall wrote all of his, Moffat wrote all of his. Maybe there was co-writers, but they were always involved in the writing of them. So it's interesting that this one is specifically being credited to Moffat, who is not currently the showrunner. But anyway, moving on from that, the official Doctor Who podcast has returned for the new season. This time it has an all-new cast with Nadee J of BBC Radio's One Extra Breakfast and comedian Shabazz Ali. They'll upload weekly after the BBC One airing of each new Doctor Who episode. I will say I did watch it, and I'm holding off on proper thoughts on the new format because I liked how the old one worked, and I did like the old people that they had on it, but I'm assuming there might have been scheduling conflicts, so they couldn't get them back. Like it wasn't bad at all, but it was just like they changed the entire format as well as who was hosting it. So we'll see where we go. It did have a very casual vibe about it though, so I did kind of like that. In any case, moving on from that to Big Finish. For new releases on the 8th of May, we had Torchwood 1, I Hate Mondays, written by James Goss and Joseph Lidster, starring Tracy Ann Oberman and Gareth David Lloyd. On the 14th of May, we had Torchwood Disco, written by Gareth David Lloyd and starring Gareth David Lloyd. And on the 16th of May, we had the 8th Doctor Adventures Echoes, written by Tim Foley, Lauren Mooney, Stuart Pringle, and Dan Rebellato, and starring Paul McGann and Nicola Walker. Also in Big Finish news, every year Big Finish opens submissions for the opportunity to pen a free short story in memory of Paul Spragg, a Big Finish production assistant who died in 2014. This year, Big Finish is especially interested in submissions that can fit within the Time War and are allowing but not requiring usage of the Daleks. Submissions of a single-page synopsis and an excerpt of the opening must be submitted by the end of Friday, June 28th. Throwing it out there, if anyone who potentially wants to submit is listening to this, the Rani committing war crimes. She is a mad scientist. The Time War absolutely fits. Go nuts.
True.
Like, she's either off doing her own shit, or you could work her into it saying that she was doing really dodgy stuff and the Time Lords were just turning a blind eye because it was to
Because they're
fuck
too
with the
busy
Daleks.
actually literally fighting somebody else most of the time.
Or they're outright funding her experiments so they can mess with
Well,
the Daleks.
maybe some of the dodgy Time Lords are funding her, yeah.
Yeah. But in any case, thank God. That's all the news. We've shockingly actually got through all of that in under a half hour. My God. That is kind of a miracle.
Hey, look at that.
Although I was kind of going straight through it, we only really stopped to comment on one or two things. So since we are skipping Geek Talk for the week because we've got 3 reviews to get through, which I will point out, we do have Bill's thoughts for all 3. Unfortunately, Matt did not have time to watch Boom, so he will be dipping out after the first.
I will be dipping out for Boom. I completely spaced on getting around to it because I also had other things going on today. Namely, I was dropping off my father's car back at his place and almost managed to dodge having to see him.
Yeah. It's one of those things where, like, it releasing literally the day before we're covering it doesn't really help.
Yeah.
It does add a little extra spice on that chaos, yes.
And like the fact that this week, especially last week, but this week now that we're doing 3 all at once. But in any
It's
case,
like, remember, nope, brain out of jar.
I only got to see Boom once because I was so busy. And I slept in this morning too, which I don't usually do. I usually get up at 4:30 still on Saturdays.
Paper not bound to feed.
But in any case, with that, we will get to the summary, which I am doing all 3 this week and then taking a break from doing them. I've actively rescheduled the order so that I will be effectively skipped over twice because Space
Okay.
Babies was supposed to be me anyway, and I will just it'll like skip me twice in the order, and then I'll still have like 2 summaries before we finish. But anyway.
I should also say that Labor or Memorial Day weekend I will be unavailable. So I should probably have mentioned that before. By the way,
Memorial Day weekend.
yeah.
Next weekend. Or not next
I'm just
weekend.
gonna post that in our Discord real quick.
Actually, yeah, next. None. Yeah, today's the 18th, so yeah, not technically next weekend.
Not Labor Day, Memorial Day weekend. The other day.
In which case, I'm pretty sure Bill will be back by then, so I might change the order again so it's him next week and then you the week after.
Okay. You.
For that.
Alright, Space Babies!
Yep. Does anyone have a stopwatch up?
Here.
It is usually the person who's streaming is supposed to bring up the stopwatch, as they are usually the ones
I
recorded for the
always
stream
forget to bring
watch.
up the stopwatch. Always. This is not even a thing here.
The way I have my loadout is I have multiple tabs for Opera, and my browser for Opera for streaming automatically all loads on the stopwatch.
Yep. Like I actually use
it's like yes, this
I use both Opera and Google because Opera is weird about my Google identity, so I have to swap between the two. All right, ready whenever you are, Alex.
Yep, I'm ready.
All right, let's go.
Okay, we open on the ending of Church of Ruby Road, which then extends into the Doctor explaining who he is and how the TARDIS works, including a trip to the far-flung past, so RTD can make a butterfly effect joke that results in Ruby turning into a lizard person for 10 seconds until he undoes it. By Ruby picking random numbers, they then land in the far-flung future year of 21,506 on a space station that turns out to be a baby farm orbiting the Earth colony planet Pacifico del Rio, with a monster randomly in the lower floors, which when asked about by the babies they run into, who seem to be running the station and able to talk, that the adults are gone, and because the adults are all gone, they claim the monster down there is the bogeyman. We then get a moment where the Doctor has a memory of the night Ruby was left at the church, with the memory being altered somehow. And when the Doctor snaps out of it, it's snowing indoors briefly before they are both called into a room by Nanny, who turns out to be a woman called Jocelyn, using some software that changes what she's saying to sound more formal. A former accountant who stayed behind when the station was abandoned because she couldn't leave the kids behind. To make a long story short, too late, the Doctor finds out the bogeyman was made by the computer as it went haywire and decided the kids needed a monster, so it made a literal bogeyman, aka a monster made out of snot. Jocelyn uses the Doctor and Ruby as bait, almost kills the creature, but the Doctor and Ruby manage to stop her because the kids suddenly don't want it to die for some reason. A fart joke manages to push the space station out of orbit of Pacifico del Rio and into the orbit of the planet that will take them in as refugees, with the Doctor giving Ruby a key to the TARDIS before they leave. The Doctor then explains to Ruby that he can't take her back to the day she was left at the church because he wants to avoid another Father's Day scenario, taking the earlier incident as a warning. We then end on the Doctor taking Ruby home to her family, ruining their kitchen ceiling, and the Doctor doing a scan of Ruby to figure out what's going on with her as we end the episode.
Yep. Alright, so let me see here. Let's show the audience. You did that in 2 minutes, 44 seconds, and 7, whatever the hell that is, nanoseconds?
Probably.
Yep.
Microseconds, one of those.
Microseconds.
Yeah, microseconds. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So with the order, we'll probably get Bill's out of the way first.
Mm-hmm.
So overall aspect, Bill's favorite overall aspect was that he liked the guest cast. The babies were believable in their role without being annoying, which is a fine line to cross. Jocelyn was also a good character, although she could have used some dialogue with the climax to really demonstrate some development. Yeah, like for all the, and we might get into it anyway, but there are some like good and bad stuff about the babies. The acting was fine for them, and Jocelyn was definitely nice to have in this. So from that, we go to Aaron.
All right. So what I liked about it, are we just going through or just doing
General, like,
each at a time?
Yeah,
Okay.
general, like
All right.
overall aspect kind of
Overall,
thing.
I like the foreshadowing in this. From the smell of the buildup of the diapers to the fairy tale like nature of the monster, thanks to the education software, and even denying Ruby the possibility of like going on, just doing whatever she wants and stuff like that. I think he even hints at the dangers of doing that. So
Yeah.
yeah. So I enjoyed kind of the build up of that. It wasn't tension, but it all kind of ties together nicely. So.
Yeah.
And that's it for me.
Yep. Okay, Matt.
I will say that even when I heard this is a concept that was going to very much live or die right off the bat with the babies. Thankfully, they were at least clever in their shoot arounds, etc., with the babies, that they could get some proper emoting here and there and get some proper reactions to the babies. Because I guarantee you that had to have been like an absolute want to pull my hair out moment for a lot of the on-set people. Trying to get a whole bunch of these little kids to actually emote, react enough that they could slip some digital effects on and at least partially make it look like they're interacting. What must have been the absolute biggest like pulling teeth moment for a lot of people. I guarantee you there's also a bunch of mothers and fathers just offset trying to, oh, come on. Just try and get them to do the things they need to do for interactions as well.
Yeah. This definitely is one of those episodes that would have required almost everything to be 80 odd because of what they would have had to have been doing to corral the children.
In part, that alone would have been requiring a lot of audio cleanup, but also just like you have to also have a very attentive director with a very attentive cameraman who's ready to move away at a moment's notice because you never know when these kids are going to suddenly switch mood.
Yeah.
I know suddenly don't want to be near a stranger, and this kid starts crying.
But yeah, for me, my favorite aspect was the chemistry that Ruby and the Doctor have. Like, of a lot of them in New Who so far, I feel like this is one of the dynamics, and I feel it more in this than Church on Ruby Road to a point, but it kind of helps because this is the second story with the two of them rather than the first where they're just meeting. Yeah, Shooty Gatwa and Millie Gibson have a very solid chemistry in this and moving forward as well. But it absolutely is one of the shining lights of this story. So moving on from that to least favorite aspect overall. First up, we have Bill's. The whole station seems poorly thought out and contrived. Why did it need to make a monster? It didn't seem to serve any meaningful function, especially since the babies weren't originally intended to be there long enough for it to keep them out of anything. The blockage caused up by buildup of diapers is almost as bad. If there's anything you would expect the space station to have automated, it would be that. I was actually expecting the bogeyman to be constructed out of recycled shit for that reason. I can see why they decommissioned the station. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That is one of its things where, like, if you think about it for more than a couple of seconds, the premise does kind of fall on its face with, like, how is this somehow so basic a setup that the babies can technically run it, but also that so much shit is going wrong at the same time. Like, you would think stuff would have gone wrong way quicker because I think the implication is that this has been abandoned for like, oh, I forget. Let's see. What year did I give in that summary? 21506. I think they seem to imply that it was like quite a while ago because I remember there being like 2222 coming up in there somehow. So, or whatever. Or like, but generally, like, oh, maybe they weren't giving a date, but the implication seems to be that it's been a couple of years. Like, it hasn't been months. It's been, I could be wrong, and maybe it was only like 6 months or something, but I think it sounded like it had been like possibly up to 6 years or something.
Oh yeah, I
And these
think
babies
that's what you
aged
said. 6
weirdly.
years. It only had 6 years of food, 6 years of water,
Hmm.
6 years of air, because her plan was to vent her oxygen into the babies.
Yeah. So it's like, it's kind of a miracle that it's lasted this long.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, unless the idea is that a lot of it was automated, but now it's like it's going to shit because there's no one to actually repair it when things go wrong, etc. I don't know. But yeah, I can definitely get where Bill's coming from. It is one of those things where like it's fine when you're just kind of turning your brain off and watching it, but then you actually start thinking about it critically and you're like, yeah, what the hell? uh, so moving on from Bill's thoughts to Aaron, what was your least favorite overall aspect?
Hmm. I thought that the special effects for the babies was a little strange. Like their
Mhm.
lips would move, but their eyes would be looking somewhere else instead of at the person they're talking to. I
Yeah.
kind of wonder what it would have been like to just CGI the whole face or something, but then
Mm.
that would have been super creepy. Probably you'd wind up like the baby from Twilight.
Or actually, you could
Yeah,
end
so
up like some of the special effects we've seen recently from Torchwood, where it's a physical effect, but then you have this really creepy, weird digital face effect that doesn't mesh with anything.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Like
Yeah.
the mouth thing is gonna be mine too, so I'm basically just gonna piggyback off this and like
Mm-hmm.
I like the worst way I can put this is that I swear to God, I have seen this done better
Mm-hmm.
in the 90s.
Oh yeah, with look who's
Friggin'
talking.
Baby Geniuses did this
Oh
better.
yeah.
Oh,
Doctor
freaking baby geniuses.
Jeez.
Like, like, I mean, that was earlier tech and all that, so it was in hindsight, it probably does look kind of dodgy, but I remember it being like okay back then, at least for the time. You
At
would
least the
think you would
first
be
one.
able
I
to do
think
it
as
better
the
now.
sequels went on, they got lower and lower budgets and dodgier and dodgier
Yeah,
effects.
probably, yeah. But like, I don't know. And it might just be because they fully animated. They might have just like removed the mouths off the babies and put
Mm-hmm.
it like an animated one over it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this looks like they're just animating the existing mouth to
Mm-hmm.
fit what they need it to say. And it looks really uncanny valley.
Yeah, it does. Especially when she picks up Ricky and she has him over her shoulder and he's like, I love you,
Mm,
Ruby. But like his eyes are just
yeah.
dead staring off into nowhere. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my god, that looks
Yeah.
super
Yeah.
creepy. Is he gonna
Definitely.
stab her?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, like it's definitely the
I
baby
love you,
being like,
Ruby. I'm
"Wait."
going to swallow
Mic
your
off.
soul.
Yeah, it's very much the baby being like the baby being a baby and being like, "Wait, what's going on?" But, you know, that's not what they need for the scene. Like, at least some of the babies were alright, but it's also like, okay, that take clearly
But
wasn't a good take for that. Maybe do another
Mic
take.
on.
they probably did, but that was the best one out of like hours of taking that
Yeah,
take. And it's
maybe.
just like, forget it. We're just trying to get this angle where you barely see the eyes are
Mm,
looking somewhere else.
Well,
yeah.
here's
I
the
guess
other
especially
thing.
because
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Alex, you can go.
like yeah, especially because you're working with like literal babies, so there's
Mm-hmm.
only so much you can have them on set before it gets illegal.
Mm-hmm.
I was just gonna point out, so this station's been around for 6 years, right? Where maybe they could have done better if
It's
they
sitting
used
there.
older children, slightly older children, like 2 or 3 years old,
Yeah,
and that, and
like
then,
honest.
hmm
Yeah, my thing would have been having like in a way, I feel like this would have worked better if they were like 10
hmm
instead of babies. Because that way they're young enough that they're still very small. And, you know, they're young enough that, like, even the bogeyman shit would still work
hmm
because they're still young enough to believe in that kind of stuff. Like, and they're old enough that the kid actors could at least do maybe some of the overly technical dialogue, maybe. Or if you
hmm
have to dub over them, then you can get the kids to like mouth along with it,
it
Mm-hmm.
makes
and
it,
like you know,
yeah, it makes more sense. Some of their actions make more sense too, like piloting the ship or
Mm.
going off to fight the monster, and I don't,
Yeah, and it
and
gets yeah,
And also, with like
like
6 years passing, wouldn't there be older children on there anyway? Or are all of the babies shipped
well, right.
off?
I think it's kind of implied
Mic off.
that something happened and the babies are aging weird, so they're mentally kind of aging in that they can talk and understand all this scientific crap, but they're not physically aging for some bizarre reason, but that's never explained. It's just like there's a bit of throwaway dialogue to be like, yeah, technically they shouldn't be babies anymore, but the episode is space babies, so they kind of have to be.
Mm-hmm.
Mic on.
um,
Mm.
but yeah. So moving on from that to Matt, what was your least favorite aspect?
Oh, least favorite aspect. Just like the whole very hand wavy excuse why a station like this would even exist, much less is still operational. I'm pretty sure even in a fantasy world, there's a lot of rules and regulations where
Mic
that
off.
would not fly with a lot of people
Mm.
and a lot of groups. I'm not sure why this would be considered fine, just abandoning a bunch of children on a space station, and why you would keep it
Yeah.
operational even though you're
Mm.
done using it. That's the kind of stuff that
Mm.
that's literally in most fantasy worlds. That's literally the moment you take the station, ground it, and you literally recycle it for parts for your new
Mhm.
city, etc. on the planet.
Yeah. Like it's definitely a thing where I get the analog they're going for of like
Mm-hmm.
people in real life who are pro life, but as soon as the babies are born, fuck them. Like they'll just abandon them. Like
Mic
I get
on.
that, but also it's like, well, someone else would probably still come along and be like, "Hey, maybe we can use this
Mm-hmm.
or something." Whether they're literally snatching the babies or they're just going like, "Oh, we can do something with this. They don't want it. We'll take it."
Right. Yeah, it's just the matter of the way they did it that doesn't quite click right.
Mm,
I get the idea, but it's not clicking with the idea.
mm,
Yeah. Like
that's fair.
someone would have rescued them by now, right?
Yeah, that too.
Mic
Mm,
off.
Yeah, matter of fact, yeah, you just gave the one reason why this doesn't work in your explanation. Someone will come along
Mic
eventually go,
on.
"Oh, we can save them," or "Oh, we could use them."
Well,
One
and
of the
Yeah.
two.
it wouldn't be kept a secret either because there were enough pissed off employees who protested
Mhm.
against it. Someone would have gone to the press.
Yeah.
Mic off.
Or generally just contacted like another government somewhere else to be like, hey, here's a baby farm. You want it? So these kids don't die? It'll be good PR if nothing else.
Sure, but we somehow, for some reason, can't go to places to collect a thing that doesn't move on its own. Sorry, bye-bye. That's a lame
Mm,
excuse, too. Anyway.
Mic on.
Mm-hmm.
mm. Um, I think I'll like. That's basically all covers everything I probably could have gone with. So I'll just skip and we will move on to favorite scenes. So starting with Bill again, the doctor laying down the rules and Ruby saying she is planning to go to her mum, leading into Carla's apartment. Given that they're so focused on the adoption angle, it's important to remember that Carla is her real mum and a biological material donor is something else.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, it was carried out in a clever way. Yeah, that was really nice to like the twist on that being no, we are going to see my mum, and it's Carla. Especially nice that we actually got to
Mhm.
see her again because I wasn't sure how long it would take
Right.
for us to see Carla again.
To see Ruby's family at all again.
Mm. I mean, I guess to be fair, we did.
Also, the other brain question: are we going to try and avoid doing a rose?
Mm. Well, I mean, I'll put it this way: in she's not in Devil's Court, although she is mentioned, and there's no mention of her in Boom. So we're definitely not like continuously going back all the time, and I doubt she's in 73 yards either. So I think this is just like a, um, as Bill said, just kind of reaffirming that Carla is her mom, and like this is her family. Like whoever our actual biological parents are in heavy
Mic
quotations,
off.
like that doesn't really matter because she is very staunchly saying this is my family. In any case, moving on to Aaron, what was your favorite
Mic
scene?
on.
The babies with the flamethrowers. It's just the cute irony of a baby running around with a clearly dangerous weapon. How do they get a hold of it? Why are they allowed to have it?
Yeah.
I mean, there is an
Uh,
adult in the room. Why wasn't Jocelyn like running to like snatch it out of their hands? What are you doing?
uh,
They even pointed
yeah.
out like babies with flamethrowers.
It's definitely one of those ones where like
shoot lasers out of their foreheads.
it's definitely one of those ones of like this is totally ridiculous, but I kind of love it.
I know. It's just like where did they
Uh,
get them from?
yeah.
Did Jocelyn know they had
Spaceballs the
mm.
flamethrower.
them?
Merchandising. That's where they got it from.
I mean, it's a baby. Are they able to even? They need like, was it not memetic devices, but like Rubik, was it Rubik? Not Rubik's cube. Goldberg machines in order to run
Yeah, yeah.
the place. Are they able to even control flamethrowers? What if they accidentally lit the Doctor and Ruby on fire?
Yeah.
Wouldn't be so
Uh,
cute then, would they?
hmm.
Yeah, but that's mine. So
Yep. Okay, so Matt.
Mic off.
Oh, so favorite moment. Oh, actually, got a chuckle out of that we're trying to figure out what the monster is, and then it's the bogey, and then immediately flash back to Ruby getting gunked on. Oh Lord. Take me back to my Nickelodeon days, and then her reaction when she figures out, no. Ugh.
Yeah. Like, I feel like what really, like, yeah, Millie Gibson absolutely sold that, especially like having a go at the doctor for laughing. And like the doctor laughing is nice because like if the doctor was like, "Oh no, let's get you cleaned up or something,"
Mic on.
like, yeah, fine, but it feels more in character for the doctor overall to just kind of laugh at that.
I
Well,
like
Like
how
yeah,
he.
there's a
some of
TARDIS. It's not a biggie.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I like how he teased her about it too. He's like, "Oh, you don't want to know.
Mm.
Oh no."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so moving on to me. My favorite scene was the doctor asking Jocelyn why she's hiding in that storage compartment and her basically just giving like the most understandable answer you could give to that situation of just, I don't want them to see me die, and I also don't want to see them die.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like, because of the whole like, this place is going to shit. We're all doomed. I don't want to have to see that. Like, that is absolutely an understandable thing of like, yeah, I'd rather just sequester myself off. I don't want to have to see that. And again, yeah, like if they knew she was there and then they had to watch her die probably before them, depending, like, yeah, like you're basically just making those kids' last moments really horrific. Like, more
Mm-hmm.
horrific than they already would be by virtue of the fact they were probably gonna like uh, you know, lack of oxygen, lack of oxygen, and that killing them. But yeah. So moving on from that to our least favorite scenes, starting with Bill. And they have picked the opening. This is kind of nitpicky, but butterfly dies, therefore humans are replaced by butterflies. Just seems like a super weird leap. Maybe it's supposed to be nonsensical, but it just seemed to me the opposite should have happened. Again, maybe that's the point. Like, killing Hitler makes the Nazis worse tropes, but it was odd to me. I mean, he says, like, humans are therefore replaced by butterflies. I took it as either this is a new Silurian variant
Mm,
or just lizard people.
she's. I thought that at
Or
first
something.
too, but she actually does have antenna, and like her scales are actually
Mm.
butterfly scales. That's why they look kind of
Ah.
feather-like.
Okay. I think what threw me off was just the hatchling da 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 sounded very Silurian way of saying
Mm-hmm.
things. Um but yeah, like I kind of get it. Like I know literally the only reason this wouldn't have been mine is that it's immediately undone
Mm-hmm.
and we have an explanation that the TARDIS has a workaround for butterfly effect logic.
Which makes me have some questions.
Yeah, like I would rather not have had butterfly effect logic
At
introduced to
all,
Doctor Who
period.
at all,
Yeah.
but knowing that it's like I did it for this one joke, I'm never doing it again is like, okay, at least we're not doing this again potentially.
Except that now they introduce it, there's the actor
Mm,
that some moron down the line will reintroduce it again and again and
mm.
again, and just
That being
make me want to
said,
claw my eyes out.
that being said, this did happen already with the Mavity, arguably.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a different kind of, but like, which interestingly enough, I don't think that word comes up in any of any of the three we're covering today. So it's kind of funny that they've kind of dropped that for now.
No, I
Which, to
thought
be
they
honest,
said it in
thank
Space
God.
Babies.
I might have
Like
just
he
forgotten.
was adjusting for Mavity or something like that. I remember him
Ah.
saying adjusting for Mavity or something.
Ah. I really wish they'd hurry up and go back and fix that because that's really bugging the hell out of me that there's
Mm-hmm.
that it's a running gag that's still there, and I kind of hope it is fixed. Like it was kind of funny at first, but the longer it goes, the more I'm gonna be like, are we actually gonna fix that, or is that just the status quo now?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It's a sign that
but-
it's the Disney Doctor Who version that you're watching.
but in any case, moving on to Aaron, what's your least favorite scene?
I'm gonna say I had like a few, but like kind of Bill kind of explained them away as his like favorite stuff. So I'm like, okay, I guess that does work, and I guess it's not that bad. So I'm just gonna go right ahead and to Ricky rolling in to fight the monster with the wooden sword. Where did he get the wooden sword, and where did he get this courage and everything, and
Mm,
that no one else around him seems to have. I don't know.
yeah.
I get that it's part of the storyline, but does the computer control the fact that he has courage now?
Mm,
When everybody else just seems terrified of it. And how come none of the other babies are
yeah.
terrified of it? When that was the whole
Mm.
point of the monster was that they would be scared of it.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
that did ultimately feel like it was just an excuse to get them down there again,
Mm-hmm.
rather than like them deciding to go down there on their own. Um, like if there had been like a scene where like, and maybe there was, but they just cut it for time
Mm-hmm.
of him like looking at a monitor or something, like picking the sword up, which you could easily do with like to fake it to have a baby pick it up and then leave or something, or even just pick it up and like that would be at least something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Like see
that
some
being
kind of
said, with how
yeah.
off and on the babies are acting wise, for understandable reasons, they're babies. Like I could maybe get how that maybe wouldn't have worked, but it'd have been something. So is that it?
Yep, that's it for me.
Okay, Matt, least favorite.
Least favorite scene.
Mic off.
Why are we suddenly deciding to protect the alien monster?
Yeah,
Mic on.
That was my
like
other complaint too. Sorry.
Like,
yeah,
it
Mic
completely
off.
just took the good episode that was actually working and just yeeted it out the window for me. I turned off my brain for enough other things on this episode. It was
mm,
fine. But then we're suddenly pulling out of nowhere, we need to protect the monster. How about you blow it
mm.
out my backside?
Yeah, like
Just out of nowhere. It's a giant goober
mm,
monster. The point of children's childhood stories is that you're supposed to destroy the monster and everyone's safe. The happy ending. Ta-da!
yeah, that. And the funny thing is like the doctor caring I can get because it's a unique form of life, blah 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 blah. But Ruby necessarily caring outside of just the doctors caring being infectious, whatever. The
And then
babies
the
caring.
babies. Yeah, the
That
baby.
made no sense because
No.
that came out of nowhere.
Mic on.
Like maybe you could argue like them seeing it suffer
Mm-hmm.
triggered it, but again, we don't really see that. We just see them suddenly being like, "No, don't hurt it, Nanny,"
Mm-hmm.
and we're like, "Wait, what?
It's like
Where'd that come from?"
yeah. I
Uh,
guess you can liken it to someone like your parents or someone squashing a bug or a spider, and you're like, no, don't hurt it. They're like, but it's an icky
mm.
spider. Only this is a giant monster.
mm.
Yeah, I didn't like it either. It was too much of an about face, and everyone just seemed to go along with saving the monster a little too easily.
For no reason.
Yeah.
It's like they needed to wrap up the
Uh,
episode real quick, but they wanted to get this one lesson in real fast, and like
Even though
magically
no lessons
everyone.
were learned,
Mhm.
it just
Yeah.
smacks of what?
Mhm.
Especially because, like, what are you gonna do with it now that it's still alive?
It's
Like, are
literally
you
just
just
gonna sit in
gonna,
that room. Cause leaving
yeah,
it to sit in
like,
a room and then die on its own is
it's
better
a
than
big,
leaving it run around or
mm,
just killing it mercifully. No, let's
yeah,
just imprison it. What?
like, yeah, like if there was a follow up on this episode, it'd be, oh, what happened to the bogeyman? Oh yeah, when we got rescued, they killed it. That'd be it.
That or when they got rescued, the bogeyman got free and massacred half the characters
Yeah, pretty
because
much.
you
Mhm.
had this coming.
Although it is funny because it seems to only exist to scare them, not attack them, because it like clearly got right up in that one kid's face, but then did nothing. So it just exists to
Well, the
scare them, not attack
the
them.
kid supposedly managed to slip away
Mm.
and hid while he destroyed the carriage.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And that's the closest it ever got to the kids, as far as I'm aware.
Mm. But yeah. Anyway, moving on to me.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, no one took it, but I'm gonna go with kind of the elephant in the room. The fart joke of releasing all of the buildup of methane because of the nappy buildup, and that somehow propelling the ship. And they deliberately designed the space station so it looked like it was a butt where it was coming out of. And I'm like,
Yeah.
thank God. Like I literally I wrote down like basic notes for everything for this and Devil's Court. And I literally just put the "Excuse me, do I not farting while I'm saving the world" quote there. Like from the Ninth Doctor, because I'm just like, that's immediately what that reminded me of. Of just that, which at least it's only one fart joke, and it isn't Aliens in London World War III where it's fart jokes all the time. But it was just like, oh my god. And as well, how does that logically work? Like, I don't get, like, even if you're saying the
Mic off.
methane propelled it where? How did that propel it out of orbit of the planet that it was orbiting around? I doubt it was that much of a build-up that it was somehow strong enough to make it loosen itself from orbit.
Mic on.
And even then, it starts moving. It's not going to stop moving once it's
Yeah.
got. Unless we're using Star Wars logic,
Mhm.
where science goes to die, and science goes to die in Doctor Who as well. To be fair, but
Yeah,
once it's got
sometimes.
momentum, that's it. It's just going to keep going.
It's gonna.
You can argue that
Unless it hits something big enough to pull it into an orbit, but still.
Well, here's
Right.
the thing:
Like,
if
very
it
precise
falls out of
calculating.
orbit, it's going to be crashing down into the planet that they're trying to seek asylum at. Unless
right.
the planet has some tractor beam or something that allows you to just kind of, or some kind of space station
Hmm.
itself that allows you to kind of slide into welcoming waters, so to speak.
Yeah. Like, effectively, I assume what he's trying to imply is that it somehow broke out of orbit of Pacifico del Rio and ended up in the orbit, being able to snap onto the
Mic
orbit
off.
of the planet they were trying to get to. But again, it's like, how was that enough? Because this is that far flung in the future that you can't use the toy maker logic of like, oh, everything's still kind of in a state of play because like it's whatever. This is nowhere near Earth. This is like, you know, tens of thousands of years in the future. Like, I don't, that logic does not work. This is very fantasy logic. And like, I'm fine with some, like, I don't need Doctor Who to ever be hard sci-fi, but also this is a bit too fantasy for me.
Mm-hmm. This is bordering on Moffat.
Mic on.
I mean, RTD was very much a leaning into fantastical kind of stuff, or just making science cry, but it's still kind of like I don't know. Yeah, it's just it's very head scratching. But in any case, with that all said, moving on to final thoughts for Space Babies, and we'll have Bill's first. I don't see how Space Babies could be anything but corny from the trailers, but I would say it delivered. It was a fun story and a clever one. First, I was irked by the abortion ban plot that never really went anywhere. Irked that the abortion ban plot never really went anywhere. Reflecting on it, I think the whole point was, aren't these absolutist bans nonsensical? Look at this nonsense. And that's probably enough critique in and of itself. Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like
Um,
Chibnall where it had to beat you over the head with every, progressive idea. It said what it needed to say and then it moved on.
Hmm.
Which is why some people might be saying it's less woke than previous series, even though it's not really. It's still pretty progressive.
I mean, they'd probably still be annoyed that like the baby running things was black, but
Yeah.
those kinds of people can generally fuck off. So, Aaron, your final thoughts.
My final thoughts was that it was a cute episode. Lots of energy and excitement to it. Pretty upbeat and kind of carefree and fun. Like I said, it presented progressive ideas without lecturing or beating the audience over the head with it. It also kind of, I don't know. Yeah, I guess there wouldn't be a conservative pro-life thing in there. I thought that there would be, like, for something just kind of caught my eye, or something that they were trying to kind of put things at both ends of the spectrum, and that now we have babies, we have to take care of them, I guess. Is still progressive. So I don't know. I was kind of, there was something that kind of tripped me up there. I'm like, wait a second, are they also trying to say this? Can't quite remember what it was, so because it was a while ago that I watched the episode. But anyway, I enjoyed it quite a bit. It's not the greatest episode, but it's a nice one, other than the Christmas one, to jump into for this series or season of Doctor Who. So, yep, that's it for me.
Yep. Matt.
Alright. So basically, my very simple theory and thought on this episode is they actually managed to give us an episode that had potential. Just turn off your brain and then enjoy the ride. And then they immediately shot the ride in the foot at the last act for no particular reason whatsoever. The whole just sudden heel turn on getting rid of the monster just made zero sense. And suddenly everyone except for the person in control of the airlock is in on it. Why? How? What? I don't. Ugh. Honestly, they did a good enough job with the rest of it that I enjoyed myself, and then it just like, I'm like, what? Why? This makes no sense. How? What? It's just. Meh.
As far as my final thoughts go, of the three stories we'll be covering today, this is the weakest. Easily. It's not horrible. It's not like the worst thing ever done. It's not the worst thing RTD's ever done by a long shot, because Love and Monsters still exists for one thing.
Yeah.
And Fear Her. And Aliens of London World War III. So this isn't that bad. So he's toned it down somewhat. Again, there's only one fart joke. It's a, gigantic one, but it's, at least one. And the bogeyman stuff, it's like, I could take it or leave it. Honestly, I feel like the problem that I have with this episode is that by virtue of the you know, oh well, we can't just kill all these babies. That would be immoral. But so we're just abandoning them on the space station. The fact that that's not the theme makes it feel like there is no theme to
Yeah.
me. It's just like, here's a bunch of babies on a space station. Haha, isn't this fun? Which, like, I mean, freaking hell. Dinosaurs in a spaceship is like, that is exactly what it says on the tin. And I'm like,
And
yeah,
you get
that's
exactly what you came for.
yeah, it's like, it's not the best episode ever, but it was a fun ride. This, I don't know. It leans. I'd probably put it on par with that if for no other reason that it's like, the acting holds up pretty well. There's just a lot of like, you picked babies to make a story around, so be that on your own head that it doesn't entirely work.
I think it.
Um
Yeah.
and yeah, like it probably should have been like 5 to 10-year-olds. Maybe even like 10-year-olds are running things, but there's also younger kids. Or something like that, so they can be more involved in all that kind of thing. I mean, if you really wanted to, if they really wanted to take a big swing, this could have essentially been Children of the Corn in space,
Yeah.
or Lord of the Flies in space. Like, that would have been very interesting, but I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
think Russell would necessarily go for that, or at least not this early.
You
I
could
can see
also.
Moffat maybe doing that, but
Yeah.
RTD not so much. Or like maybe that could have, like, I could almost see that being a Torchwood story, maybe more so than Doctor Who, but yeah. In any case, yeah, so not especially egregiously bad. Like, if you turn your brain off, you can enjoy it well enough. But for an opening episode of a season, bold choice.
Yeah.
Um. So yeah. Huh.
I could
I will say I did forget a line from Bill, so I'll just throw that in quick. That he also added that the Doctor wanting to save even the bogeyman is just classic. I could see John Pertwee or Chris Eccleston in that sequence, and it would fit. Yeah, pretty much. Again, like as brought up before, it's more so that everyone else in that scenario was like, no, we have to save the creature trying to kill the babies,
very easy to convince.
rather than yeah. But in any case, from that to ratings, Bill says this may be a bit high, but I'm going to lean towards positives of this and give it a 4.5.
Ooh.
Someone going to, and then asking if someone's going to enter the ratings, and that will be me. So 4.5. For Bill, okay. Aaron, what are you giving
I
this?
think now that we've kind of pointed out some of the stuff, and also I want to say that they could have also gone with the route where there were adults on the station, but somehow the babies were like hyper intelligent and like
Yeah, well, I
wondering
get like
what's going
space
on.
baby geniuses.
Yeah, like the adults are actually evil, and you have to rescue the babies from them. So you could have done that too.
Yeah.
I would say now that we've kind of pointed out like a lot of the flaws in the episode, I think I'm going to go with a 3.5.
3.5 from Aaron. Matt. Your score?
Oh, sorry.
Mic
Slipped out of there
off.
for a moment. My score. I didn't necessarily hate it. As a matter of fact, I liked it a lot. It's just that the last act really ruined it for me. So I guess like maybe a 4.
4.0. So I will agree with Aaron on this case. I feel like this is just flawed enough to give a 3.5, but I don't think I could justify going any lower. So with
Yeah,
that,
I won't go too low, but I also don't want to go any higher. That's for darn sure.
yeah.
It needs some
So
tuning.
with that, this ends up at a
Mic on.
3.88. Which will put it roughly. This hasn't been sorted, so technically some of these numbers will probably change. But I'll just list off because we've got 3 stories to do total. I will just lift off what's it on par
Mhm.
with, rather than what it's above, below, etc. So that will put it roughly at 261 out of 470 things reviewed. And it is on par with the Rebel Flesh, the Almost People, the Leisure Hive, Underworld, the Crotons, the Doctor's Daughter, the Gardens of Dead, Torchwood from Out of the Rain, Big Finish, Jago and Lightfoot Revival, Acts 1 and 2, and Big Finish. Not sure what the MR stands for, my bad. The Condemned. So there we go. That's it for that